Hi, this is Sarah Lingra with pianokeyfinders.com, and I am bringing to you my May Circle of Fifths. So this is May 2025. Every month for the year of 2025, I'm doing a new set of circles of fifths with different themes and different things going on. Last month it was eggs because Easter. This month, it just so happens I have a Volkswagen Bug and my Bug died. I have a vintage car. It's like a 1974. And when I started playing around with doing another circle of fifths, I came across this graphic and I thought it was so adorable I had to do it. It turns out that this is actually really a great circle because having the cars shows you when you're going around the circle how one leads to another. This month, I'm not doing a minor circle. I'm only doing the major. But I'm doing two versions of this major. The first one is the circle of fifths going clockwise, and the second one is the circle of fourths, which is the same circle except for I reversed the order, I reversed the direction of the cars, so they are going counterclockwise. And this actually is really interesting because in music, it's not uncommon to go from a 1 to a 5. So one of the teaching pieces, or one of the pieces I've been teaching this month has been the Bach two-part invention in A, number 13, which it starts with, so A minor to E7. So that's going from an A to an E7. And that second inversion to a root position dominant seventh, so second inversion tonic of whatever, whether it's major or minor, to a root position dominant is a really common chord progression that doesn't just happen in that particular invention, it happens all over the place. And so as we are going around the circle in all the keys major and minor, so second inversion major to a dominant seventh and a second inversion minor to a dominant seventh, my students are picking those chord patterns out in the pieces that they're doing. But later on in the same two-part invention, if we go this way, the circle has the cars going this way, and this is actually how a lot of these chords are seen in pieces, especially jazz, because jazz uses lead sheets and it teaches a different way than classical. But in this two-part invention from Bach, later in the piece, he has a D minor 7 followed by a G7 followed by a C major 7 followed by an F major 7. So that would be a 2-5-1-4 in the key of C. And then a few bars later in the same piece, there is an A minor 7 followed by a D7 followed by a G major 7 followed by a C major 7. And so when you are using the circle this way, this is actually how those chords appear. And one of the things that has been a secondary benefit of playing around the circle and in the order of the circle rather than randomly is that my students are learning chord progressions as groups. And when they have them as groups, when they're in a particular piece, that's often, not all the time, but often how those chords and how those harmonies are working in their pieces. And this was a prime example of how to do it. The circle for May is available on the blog, pianokeyfinders.com. And like I said, it goes in the fourths direction, which is often how these chords appear in music, but it also goes in the fifth direction, which is the standard. And I just can't tell you how fun this one is. Another little detail here, if you see how you've got the wheels on the Bug, well, the wheels, if you can visualize, you're rolling this circle down, right? Those chords are being put down on the music in that way as you're riding forward. So it really shows how these things are connected. One of my students commented upon how satisfying it is to do something and go all the way around the circle, and that every time they do it, there's another thing that they notice about how these keys are interconnected. And I've been using the key finder cards with my students for the last 2 years now, and I've really hammered home playing around the circle and all of these patterns since about August last year. And I tell you, I can't go back because all of my students, without exception, are able to play root position triads and 5-note scales and often chord progressions in all 12 keys, even if they've had less than a year of lessons. And we use those cards from, to the beginning, and some still need them and some don't. And it's just been fascinating. But anyway, I love this one. This is one of my all-time favorites, the circle of fifths with the bugs, a circle of fifths and a circle of fourths. So happy playing and happy May.